So how exactly will this project work and how many families are you targeting?
Good morning to you and thanks for having us this morning. We are developing service stands in Carmel Park and Kangala. We are looking to develop over 2,000 stands for the community there, and we'll make sure that they get title deeds. We are working in partnership with the city of Tshwane. After having developed all the sites, we're going to do beneficiary administration. We know that people of Nkangala have, for many years, been waiting for developed sites. That's why we're pushing this project hardly with the Gauteng Government Human Settlement Department.
So does this mean relocation, or does it mean that the stands that they currently live on will be formalized?
We are talking about the Greenfield project, wherein we don't have people. We want to deal with backlog of beneficiaries that have been waiting. You will know that across the country, many people are complaining about being on Form C, and they've registered since 1998. Then in Nkangala, we are dealing with the Greenfield projects. We are just getting in people that are in the backyard dwellers and people that are on the waiting list for housing development.
Okay. And then explain to us what you mean by service stands.
Then you will know that we have a program in Gauteng that is called the Land Rapid Release. We are then developing sites that have water, sewer, and electricity. We then give them title deeds. They own the sites, but we'll then follow up with top structures. These are low-cost houses that are developed by Housing Human Settlement in Gauteng. We are dealing with issues of providing land sites that are serviced, providing utilities on those sites, and making sure that they have title deeds and ownership of those pieces of land. And we'll then follow up with top structures for their service stands at a later stage.
Okay, so what's the time frame for this project, including the cost that is involved in it? And if you can, perhaps maybe even separate it, because the one element is the service stands, and then after that, the top structures are going to come in.
Then if you're developing a project of 2,000 sites, we're looking over R500,000 rents development. We want to make sure that the spend of that money goes into services. You need bulk services, you need electricity, you then need to develop ensuring that people get title deeds. Therefore, that will cost you anything more than R500,000 rents. And then later, you then have a Gauteng government that will come in and build top structures for people that need their houses. Because some can afford to build on their own. What we need to do is to release land that is serviced so that they can improve their living conditions.
Okay, so for some of them, they'll be able to build their own homes or their own buildings, and then for the others, the city will be assisting or government will be assisting.
Those that they would then apply and raise their hand that they need the support from government, we are going to do that.
Yeah, and what's your time frame looking like? And the reason that I'm asking this, MMC, is that developments like these, not the first time that we've heard things like this. For instance, in Ekurhuleni as well, they've had several initiatives like these, but then those service stands end up being abandoned and just lying there, and sometimes even vandalized and destroyed.
Then what we do, we have a 3-year project that will then develop in 3 financial years. The magnitude of the project will then be developed in a period of 3 years. But what we do, we engage local stakeholders. We then talk to elected councillors, but also bring partnership with communities that they should protect those land sites. It is not only government that would then withdraw because of insufficient funding, but it will also be a disaster if communities around are not working with us or we don't consult enough, that somebody would then end up selling those stands for profit gains that would then be disadvantaging those that are in the queue for these service stands.
Yeah, and that is a major issue, of course. But I want to now also go back to this particular part, and this is around land hunger, as former President Thabo Mbeki would describe it, especially in city centres like the city of Tshwane, as an example. In 2023, the city of Tshwane spoke about 210 informal settlements. That number, according to your statement, now sits at 575 informal settlements.
We are sitting at 575 correctly, because there's been a spike on land invasion. What we've seen it's shack farming. People are profiteering out of the plight of the poor. They get in there, they become law unto themselves. They are charging people for electricity. They are charging people for they demand protection fee for those that are in need of stands. You will know that State South Africa has reported that over 10,000 people are inwardly migrating towards CBD spaces and metro cities. Then we are dealing with a rapid growth of people that need to have land spaces. But in the process, we also have people that are taking advantage of the poor. We have what we call informal townships. If you drive around the city here, you find people living in developed houses, but these are people that are not living in proclaimed areas. If somebody comes in, sells stands at 30,000 rands, 50,000 rands, and they develop expensive houses. But if you then go into deeper of what is in that development, you then see people that are tapping and stealing our infrastructure. They are tapping on electricity, they are taking water for themselves, and they are living on flood lines. When you've got the floods, people come to government and say, we are now needing government assistance. But at the beginning of these land invasions, somebody was leading this invasion, and they have purported themselves as local authorities or chiefs or any other person that has authority to give land. People that are desperate, they pay exorbitant amounts of money to get these land sites. But at the end of it all, government must take responsibility of ensuring that it resolves such issues.
Yeah, since that constitutional court ruling against the utterances that had been made by the EFF as well as the leader of the EFF inciting people to invade land, would you say specifically when it comes from EFF members and maybe some of the leaders that there has been a change in attitude around the issue of land?
We can't deal with individuals that would want to undermine government plans. This has increased on the backlog, and it's very unfortunate that poor people that are unsuspecting, they get to be taken into areas that are wetland, areas that are floodlines. Somewhere, private landowners, they then agree to people invading their sites because they know that government will come in desperately buying this land, because we've got an obligation in terms of our constitution. Section 26 of our constitution dictates that we must provide for people that are living in these informal settlements. But as council, we've taken it upon ourselves to take a bylaw to council that would then assist us to prohibit and also to discourage people that would then want to get into our sites and invade them. But we want to work with them and draw in them into our master plan that shows areas that we want to develop. Because at the end of the day, we are spending 300 million on water tankers. We are spending 60 million on chemical toilets in a financial year. This is not sustainable in terms of our financial situation. And going forward, what we need to do is to work with people that are raising their hands and say, government, we need your intervention. We know and we are aware, we are alive that the 30 years that we are in, people have been deprived the opportunity to live in developed spaces. And people come into CBDs because they want to get economic opportunities. All those issues, we are mindful of them, but we also appealing that they must work with us in ensuring that with all the little resources we are having, we then provide for them, provide for the poor, provide for everybody that wants to get into CBD spaces because of they also want to be closer to work opportunities.
Yeah, and speaking about water in conclusion, MMC, would you say that the city has now turned the tide when it comes to providing clean, drinkable water to the people of Hammanskraal?
We are working with the ministry led by Honorable Minister Phemi Majodina. We have went into Hammanskraal. They've assisted us on resources of developing the package plant. Earlier in January, they will communicate what are the issues with regard to providing clean water. We have launched the project, but we're still dealing with ensuring that the pipeline is cleaned. Water that is going to come out of those pipelines is consumable, and people are going to get safer water. We have made progress, big strides on the development, but the ministry will make an official announcement on when people are going to get clean water from their taps. Currently, what we're doing, it's commissioning and making sure that we flush out debt and every other element that is in our pipeline. But the ministry, together with City of Tshwane, will then make a joint statement on what is in the progress of the work that we did in Hammanskraal.
Yeah, there is a statement that actually was issued by the mayor as well as the ministry. But I want to know about the timelines around this. When can we say that now the people of Hammanskraal have clean, drinkable water? How long will it take to get to that particular point?
We are ready to then go in January to provide clean and safer water. Currently, if you then go and drive in Hammanskraal or ask any citizen that is in that part of the land, they will tell you that water that is coming out of their taps is clean, very clear. But we have then issued warnings to them that they should allow government to then commission and work with all our experts so that when they start consuming, it is a message that comes from government. Therefore, Minister Majodin will then, in January, make an announcement around the work that we did there.